Hello everybody, welcome back to algebra class. Today we're going to be talking about parallel and perpendicular lines. Our goal today is to be able to determine slopes of parallel and perpendicular lines. Let's first talk about parallel lines. Parallel lines are two lines that never intersect. That means they never cross each other. Parallel lines have to have the same slope. Here are two examples of graphs of parallel lines. Our first example is the blue lines right here. So these blue lines would be parallel to each other. Also, we have a different set of parallel lines, which is these red lines right here, and they are parallel to each other. A great way to remember parallel lines is if you notice you have an L right here and an L right there, they make up two parallel lines. When we think about parallel lines, we want to be thinking that parallel lines have the same slope. That's our key for parallel lines. They have to have the same slope. Next up, let's test ourselves a little bit. So are the following lines parallel? The easiest way to tell if two lines are parallel is to get them both into y equals mx plus b form, because remember the m is your slope. So for our first equation, we actually already have it in y equals mx plus b form. So in this case, our slope is 5. So we would say m equals 5. Now, in order for two lines to be parallel, they have to have the same slope. Our next equation does not have y by itself yet, so we have to actually add 5x on both sides. So we get y equals 5x plus 6. So once again, our slope is right there. So we can say m equals 5 again. And you'll notice they do have the same slope. So are the following lines parallel? Yes, they are parallel. Write an equation that is parallel to the following line. So in order for two lines to be parallel, they have to have the same slope. So any equation that we write that has the same slope is going to be good to go. In this case, my slope is 3. So m equals 3. So I can write any equation that I would like as long as my slope is 3. So I'm going to go ahead and write a few here. You only have to write one, but I'm just going to write a couple. We could say y equals 3x minus 7. Y equals 3x plus 4. Whoops, that can't be plus 4 because we actually have the same equation right there. So it can't be plus 4. Y equals 3x plus 5. We could say y equals 3x. Y equals 3x minus 2. Y equals 3x plus 100. Anything that has a slope of 3. Notice you need to have the same slope, but you do need to have a different y-intercept. So you get the same slopes, but you also have to have a different y-intercept. If it doesn't have a different y-intercept, it just means it's going to be a line on top of itself. Next up, we get to talk about perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines are lines that intersect at right angles. The slopes of perpendicular lines are opposite reciprocals. That means that if our slope is A over B, opposite reciprocal means it is going to be negative B over A. The graphs have to make 90-degree angles. That means that's 90 degrees. Here's our other example right here. That's 90 degrees. Next up, we're going to go ahead and look at what some opposite reciprocal slopes look like. So here it says to find the opposite reciprocal. So in this case, 1/2, that means it's a positive, so I make it a negative, and I make it 2 over 1. Now 2 over 1 can actually be simplified to just 2, so it's going to be -2 is our slope. Next up, we just have a -5. If we do not have a fraction here, all we do is make it a fraction. Now, we have a -5 over 1, so it's going to become positive 1 over 5. So our slope is 1 over 5. Here we have a -4/3, so it's going to become a positive 3 over 4. We have -6 over 5, so that's going to become positive 5 over 6. Here we have just a 2, so we're going to make that 2 over 1. And that's going to become -1 over 2. Here we have a -8 over 7. And those are all opposite reciprocal slopes. Find the slope of the line between 2 points, then determine if the line is parallel, perpendicular, or neither given the equation of the line. So if I have 2 points, I can stack them and slide them. So I have 3 over 7, 1 over 4. So I got to find the slope between those 2 points. Don't forget to put your minus sign. 7 minus 4 is 3. 3 minus 1 is 2. So my slope there is 3 over 2. My slope on my equation is -2 over 3. So they are not the same slope, so for sure it's not parallel. What we need to do is find the opposite reciprocal of one of these and see if it matches up. So I'm going to do that for my bottom one here. So I have 3 over 2. The opposite reciprocal of that would be -2 over 3. And if we notice, the -2 over 3 is the same thing as -2 over 3. So that means that these things are opposite reciprocals, and because they are opposite reciprocals, we can say that they are perpendicular. Let's look at our next problem. Okay, it says find the slope of both lines on the graph, then determine if they are parallel, perpendicular, or neither to the given equation of a line. So here, basically, I need to find these two slopes. So my first slope, I'm going to go ahead, I need to pick 2 points where they cross at. which would be there and there. My rise is 3, my run is 2. So I rise 3, I run 2. I have my other line. I'm going to pick 2 points where they cross the graph nicely. I rise 3, I run 2. So those are my 2 slopes. And fairly easy to see here that they are the same slope. That means that these 2 graphs have to be parallel to each other. Let's look at our next problem here. Determine if FG and HJ are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So FG, that's 2 points right here. I have these 2 points, and I also have the point HJ. So I have to find the slopes of those 2 points and see how they compare to each other. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to stack and slide. So I have 4, 2, 6, -3. Slide it down. Don't forget to put your minus sign. 2 minus -3 is going to be 5. 4 minus 6 is -2. So that's my original slope for my red equation. My green equation, I'm going to stack them up. I got -1 and 5, -3 and 10, 5, 10, -1, -3. Don't forget to put your minus sign. 5 minus 10 is -5. 1 minus -3 is actually going to be +2. So let's go ahead and check to see if we have opposite reciprocal slopes here. So if I'm going to use my red equation. I have 5 over -2. So that's going to become +2 over 5. So if I notice, I have +2 over 5 and I have -2 over 5. Those are not the same thing, so these are not opposite reciprocals of each other, so it is not perpendicular. Also, I know my 2 slopes were not the same. Actually, I'm sorry, they are the same. So I have negative, I can rewrite these. If I look, I can rewrite it as -5 over 2, and I can rewrite this as -5 over 2. Those are the same slopes, so I can actually say that these are parallel. And then we are all done. That is it for today. Have a great day. I will see you guys next time.